Hey, what's up guys? I am Jerome from the Bonsai Supply and welcome to this week's video. Now, if this is the first time that you come across this channel and you like bonsai, you are in luck because that's what this channel is all about. Now, if you're a subscriber already, thank you so much for your support and welcome back. Alright, so in this week's video, we are going to revisit an old friend, which is this ball cypress here. Now, you may remember, if I may take you to the very beginning of this creation, I had a little whip that was about maybe 2 years old, and I bent it by hand, and I gave it this natural, crazy looking cascading style shape. Now, when I was done with it, I potted it into a container similar to this one, and I had it there for about a year. Now, unfortunately, I explained in the last video that I made of this tree that it is very difficult for this section here, the cascading arm, to thicken up because this top part is what's closest to the sun. And the part that's closest to the sun is always most vigorously. And so it's very difficult to thicken up this composition if only this part grows very, very vigorous and this section down here grows less vigorous. So I had this ingenious idea of putting this tree into a basket and hanging it upside down so that the bottom branch here then would be closest to the sun and would be the most vigorous then. That was the whole idea. So I had it hanging in that basket for about a year and it worked really, really well. It grew a lot of new shoots. It started to thicken up. As you can see, it's a lot thicker now than it was a year ago. Now, preferably, I would have loved to leave it in that basket for another 2 to 3 years to really thicken up and to take a closer look at how this new technique would really work out, over a long period of time. Now, unfortunately, where I had this hanging before, I could no longer have it hanging there this year, and I couldn't find a suitable place in my bonsai collection display area where this upside down hanging basket would look presentable. So I turned it right side up again this year. And also I think I want to keep this tree a little bit on the smaller side and not have it thicken up too much. I still want to have a little bit of elegance in here. And so that's why I chose to turn it back right side up. And this is the end result here. So now let's go ahead and take a look at how it went from hanging upside down to turning it into something like that. Let's get right to it. Alright, so I wanted to pick up right where we left off last year. So when I created this upside down, downside up style, by the way, if you are confused of what you're seeing here, make sure that you click on the link here, which will take you back to the very beginning of when this tree was created. So I turned it upside down, this ball cypress, and the idea was that the top now, that's now being its new apex, will continue to grow stronger and will thicken up my cascade much quicker. So I really like the results of the downside up tree, but unfortunately where I had it hanging, I can no longer hang it in that same area, and I cannot find another place in my bonsai garden where this upside down, downside upside would look any good. And so that's why I decided to turn it back right side up. And after all, I wanted to keep this cascade on the smaller side. And so this is what it looks like right now. I emptied out the soil, which went really easy, and then I cut away the pot because the tree kind of grew into the pot over just the course of a year. And there's obviously not a lot of roots right now because, as I said, it just grew for about a year in this pot. It didn't have time to acclimate to this new way of growing, and so therefore there's not a lot of roots, but the tree in fact did have the chance to thicken up quite a lot. So now, first order of business, of course, is to remove that orange drainage screen, and as you can see, some of the roots already pierced through. Now, next up, I'm going to have to use my chopstick and loosen up the roots a little bit, remove some of the soil, and then this is the new pot that I chose, which is a cascading pot. I think it looks really nice potted at this angle, and so of course, in order to get the right angle down, I have to remove some of the branches that are growing the wrong way. So first, I have to use a drainage screen, put it in the bottom of the pot, and then of course, as always, I use 2 times a 3mm wire, and this is the tie down wire, which will help me tie the tree into the pot, which prevents it from, moving around, and which will also create a healthy root system. So next up, I revert to my go-to soil, which is our all-purpose bonsai soil mixture, which I use for really every type of bonsai tree under the sun. So I filled the pot about 3/4 of the way because I have a pretty small root ball right now. And so then I go ahead and I trial fit just to make sure that the root ball sits at the right depth inside of the pot. And so I do this several times to get the height of the root spread correct, make sure that all of the roots are buried in the soil, and in order for me also to get the right angle down, it is very important to do a lot of trial fittings, remove some of the roots that you don't need right now, and that way you can fit the tree into the pot at the angle that you desire. So this new angle change, I had a lot of empty space right underneath that root ball. So you want to make sure that you fill that root ball, that area, with soil. You do not want to have any air pockets in the soil. So next up, I use the 2 wires and tie the tree down into the pot. And I want to make sure that I tie the tree down firm into the pot so that it does not wiggle when the wind blows or when a bird lands on top of the tree or a squirrel or anything like that. I want to make sure that the tree is secure inside the pot so that it can grow healthy, happy, and strong. Now last but not least, I of course have to work out the air pockets out of the soil, and I'm using my chopstick, and this is a very, very important step to make sure that I do not have any loose areas inside the soil. I want to make sure that the soil sits in there firm. So next up, I went ahead and I wired all of the branches left over. And here I think I'm using like a 2.5 to 3 millimeter wire. And as you can see, I always like to wire 2 branches of the same thickness together. So now that this tree is finished, I'm just doing a couple finishing touches such as wiring the branches. I will actually keep this tree inside the greenhouse. First order of business, of course, as always when you repot a tree, is to thoroughly water the new soil. And then I will keep it right on this bench because the tree is already budding out, so I'm actually being very careful when I'm wiring the branches not to damage any of the new buds. And I'm placing the branches very carefully. And then I'm keeping it in here because I want to keep it away from dry or cold winds or any freezing temperatures. And inside the tropical greenhouse, it is always above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So that now the tree can just continue to grow and will not dip below freezing anymore, so it can just continue to grow, which is very important. And once the temperatures are steadily above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, I will take this tree and move it out right into full sun. Now I did really like the way that this technique worked, and I will try it again, but this time I will make sure that it will hang upside down for at least 2 to 3 years to really thicken up more, but I do like the results that it gave me already. And so here you can see just about 30 days after, the tree has exploded with new growth, and it is looking really, really amazing. So this is already it for this week's video, and I really hope that you enjoyed it. And if you happen to do so, please make sure that you give us a big thumbs up. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. I mean, what are you waiting for? And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, make sure that you turn on the notification so that you never miss out any of our new videos coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.